The Sylvan Song. Once upon a time, far, far in the days of yore before the turning of seasons, the spirits of land and sky tended to the growth of all things that live and breathe. Under their care, the grass grew strong and emerald green, while pollen flitted about across wild violet and yellow meadows. Theirs was the domain of life, where soft summer showers wake seedlings from their meadows. Theirs was the realm of quietude, where even the weariest souls could find peace amongst the trees. Theirs was the home of the freshly hatched starling, the haven of the fawns barely weaned from their mothers. The spirits brought new life to fruit, and thus did they become known as the Sylvans. Deep, deep in the woods of the Sylvan's home, a cave stood tall and yawning, as if a great beast of stone and sand lay waiting for a fresh meal to enter its stomach. From that cave came a traveler, a new face to the Sylvan realm, hair thin upon their body and covered in dirt. They stood upon two legs, frail yet firm, covered with a wrapping of leather and fiber that frayed at the edges and rustled angrily with every breath they took. The Sylvans watched the curious creature from afar, baffled at the appearance of such an unlikely beast as this. From where could they have come? To where were they going? The sounds of rustling leaves and scents of fermented berries rushed through the woods as news spread far and wide. A new creature had entered the realm, one unique from the animals that claimed these woods. And, while the Sylvans fretted and fluttered about in amazement, the creature began to wander. First, one shaky step, then two, then a third. A new sound joined the whistle of the wind. A shrill whoop and holler erupted from the creature's throat and startled the world around them. Could they have cried out in pain? Had they stepped upon a thistle's burr? No. The cry was not one of fear or of pain, but of joy and wonder. The being stepped and spun in a bizarre flurry of motion, flinging their wrappings about so as to catch the wind, and jumping through the meadows with a face beaming even more radiant than the sun in the sky. And all the while, the Sylvans watched, intrigued. After not but a few moments, the being slowed to a halt, drawing a great breath and leaping head first into the flowering berry bushes across from the cave's yawning mouth. As the shocking sight of the being began to wear down, the Sylvans quietly approached the bush they had disappeared into, holding their thoughts close to their hearts for want of knowing the nature of this new visitor. With a slow and steady beat, the branches of the bush gave way to show a smiling creature, a smiling face stained with the blues and violet of the berry held within. It was then that the creature noticed the Sylvans gathered around and regarding them with unfamiliar eyes. A yelp sounded across the woods, followed by a scampering hustle and bustle as the creature pulled back from the sight. Clearly, whatever this being was, had not expected the Sylvans, for they took to their legs and dashed across the meadow, sounds of alarm muffled by the yet unchewed berries in their cheeks. The Sylvans, naturally, gave chase, wishing to observe and understand the reason for the creature's alarm. They had, after all, assumed a form not unlike the creature, if perhaps taller, thinner, and composed from the plants and the clouds that were their very beings. Over an hour did the Sylvans give chase, remarking at the uncanny endurance of the creature as they traversed the hills with nary a fault to their pace. At last, the sound of rumbling from an old and wise Sylvan urged the others to abandon the being's trail. Should the creature return, it reasons, perhaps they might not flee from the Sylvans. And so, did the Sylvans leave the creature to their devices. The sun rose and set, intertwined in an eternal dance with her loving moon. The Sylvans tended to their gardens and waited for the day when the strange creature might return. And return they did. The creature entered the meadows once more, eyes wide and incomprehensible sounds coming from their throat, like wild birds. The Sylvans gathered, watching with curious tones as the creature approached them. What could they be doing, making such a racket? Soon, it became clear. The creature was trying to communicate, and this was their way of doing so. The sounds had a rhythm, a pattern that the Sylvans could recognize, but not understand. After a time, the meadows grew quiet. until not even the creature made a single noise. The Sylvans knew now that there was no way to understand this creature. They were simply too strange, too unfamiliar, too far apart from the Sylvans' world. Perhaps that was why the Sylvans found it shocking to watch as the creature closed their eyes and began to make new sounds. A constant thrumming tune rumbled in their chest, slowly rising in volume until the hills of the realm were filled with the sound. The Sylvans felt a tingling in their forms. A beat conducted through the tune from the creature that compelled their forms to shift and dance. The rising and falling of the pitch led the Sylvans' hearts themselves to rise and fall alongside. Emotions, as of yet unknown to them, welling within their souls. A melancholy echo swelled in the creature's notes, one that, as it rang out, urged the Sylvans to join. And join they did. Thus did the Sylvans learn the creature's song. The rumble of thunder boomed as a metronome. The whistling of wind carried a haunting melody through the hollow branches of trees and between rocks. The pitter-patter of raindrops struck up an arpeggio. The Sylvans joined the creature in song, carrying their tune across the entire world. Song of sadness, of joy, of wonder, of dreaming. And thus did the creature become known. They were a human. One from a world of metal and smoke, fire and passion. A world filled with noise and excitement, where calm is cast aside to move forward to new dreams, or to lament lost loves. The Sylvans saw humanity's fears and worries through the human's eyes. Dreams chased until the body breaks. Hopes held until lost to memory. And thus the Sylvans cry, mourning the suffering of the human visitor. Yet, just as the cry seemed to reach its peak, just as the swelling of melancholy tides threatened to swallow the realm in sorrow, a new note chimed above the rest. A young sylph, one of fragile, blooming flowers, held the human's hand in theirs. The cry of sorrow grew silent, waiting and watching as the sylph began to sing a new song. One of wind and rain that cleanses the earth for new seeds to grow. One of roots and bark standing strong and holding on to their homes. One of many-hued flowers, each and every one unique and delicate, but beautiful when grown together. Tears streaked the faces of the sylph and the human, ones of fear and ones of joy, mixed together into a bittersweet flood of emotion. Thus did the realm of the Sylvans come to learn of the realm of the human. And thus did they find our worlds. Thus did the Sylvans bring their realm here, through grass and stem, through storm and wind. When the fires of fear eat away at our souls and cast great billowing clouds of smoke to drown our hope, the Sylvan song shall begin to sing through the trees and the rivers. The wind carries their hopes and their love for us, wishing us well in our journeys through the realms. For we are never truly without friends in every living thing around us. The end.